Uh, in these extraordinary times, the trade and the travel industry will be driven mainly by the local demand from domestic tourists as well as regional travelers. The tourism stakeholders will be focusing mainly on the domestic tourists to tide over the crisis in the sector. Many countries are desperately looking into their neighborhoods, into the regions to explore the source markets. Now, it is a time to think about partnerships. It is a time to think about cooperation and collaboration, which are the watchwords for the industry. So in this scenario, cross-border tourism will acquire immense significance in the revival and rejuvenation of tourism industry worldwide. Now, everybody is coming together and forming partnerships. The tourism stakeholders need to create very innovative cooperative tourism development strategies to address the challenges in this sector during this post-COVID-19 situation. Now, cross-border tourism acquires many forms. There are bilateral cooperation, there are trilateral cooperation, there are regional cooperation. For example, two countries can partner together and create a single package for multi-destination travel. So that this is a normal or a usual cross-border tourism process in the region. The cross-border tourism and the cooperation between various regions can also help in creating and offering a greater diversity of tourism products. So the tourist can experience a variety of tourist destinations and tourism products. Cooperation can also result into increased mobility of tourists across the border. So it leads to increased penetration and increased market share in the current markets. Joint cross-border tourism marketing helps in reaching regional markets more effectively. Specifically, it brings about the integration of regional products into a unified cross-border brand, which is very essential in developing the competitiveness or the competitive advantage of the regional tourism product. Second, it helps in economies of scale because of the cost optimization, and because the countries, they share the cost and the risk as well. It also brings a greater stability in the region in terms of facilitation of tourism. It also strengthens the tourism networks and distribution channels. And above all, it also creates suitable conditions to address issues and perceived challenges in the sector. Cross-border tourism collaboration can also be a catalyst for innovation and knowledge transfer, because countries can learn from each other the best practices, the best action plans, and the expertise and the skills for promoting cross-border tourism. Finally, the cross-border tourism strengthens regional tourism initiatives because the countries band together and facilitate their own tourism sector. So the competitiveness or the competitive advantage of the region becomes very strong. We have seen in Europe in the late part of June 2020, there's an emergence of tourism bubbles or travel bubbles, or they are called free travel zones, as number of countries band together to facilitate their own tourism sector. Now, what is happening? Similar countries with similar situations, for example, with less COVID instances in the countries, they band together as a tourism bubble, or they have an agreement for the cross-border tourism. So their citizens can travel freely across the border for non-essential trips without quarantining, such as leisure travel or tourism. From the 1st of July, Spain, Italy, Portugal, and Greece have opened the borders for travelers from European Union. I believe that UK is not a part of that because there are increasing number of COVID cases in United Kingdom. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, these three Baltic countries, were the first initiative in the European Union to form the tourism bubbles, followed by Norway and Denmark because they share the common borders. All these countries, they often share the same historical and cultural traditions, and they have contiguous borders and also scenic tourist destinations in proximity to the borders so that the tourism can be facilitated across the borders. Now, Greece and Croatia also formed a tourism bubble. In Asia Pacific, Australia and New Zealand, because New Zealand has zero COVID case. So these are some of the examples of tourism bubbles, like uh, two countries or three countries are coming together and forming a kind of an agreement for the free travel of their residents. Facilitation of cross-border tourism in Asia. Asian countries need to now create new partnerships and collaborations to facilitate their own tourism sector. BBI countries, the Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal, it's a sub-regional forum under SAARC, the South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. This association is for improving regional integration and economic cooperation between countries. And BBI countries offer immense potential for promoting cross-border tourism because they share close identities, they have this old ties, cultural affinities, and they have close geographical proximity. Asian highway connectivity will give boost to cross-border tourism in this region because the Asian Highway project, which has been started by the United Nations Economic and Social Commission on Asia Pacific, ESCAP, is a joint venture between ESCAP. There are 32 countries from Asia and Europe, and also the Asian Bank, which is providing stimulus to this particular project of connecting countries in Asia and Europe by this particular project. So the Asian highway connectivity is a game changer for promoting cross-border tourism, not in South Asia, but also in East Asia and Far East. Now, the BBN countries have formed a motor vehicles agreement. This arrangement will permit the member states supply their vehicles in each other's territory for transportation of cargo and passengers. This particular agreement is not ratified by Bhutan. Bhutan is the only country which is not part of this agreement. And Bhutan has also, it's very sorry to say that Bhutan has closed their borders or the free entry for the residents, for the travelers from India, Bangladesh, and Maldives. And they are charging now the entry fee, or they call it the sustainable development fee, to the citizens of these countries. So if a BBI and motor vehicles agreement has been ratified by the 4 countries and implemented, it will boost cross-border tourism, and it will connect with, it will become a gateway, BBI and countries will become a gateway to the ASEAN market. We have seen that now the Asian Highway AH1 is already functional and is connecting India, Myanmar, and Thailand. Now this this corridor will also be further connected with Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. So Asian Highway will play a major role in promoting cross-border tourism between these countries. Now in ASEAN countries, we have seen the framework of many regional cooperations, and tourism an integral part of these cooperations. Asian Framework Agreement on the facilitation of cross-border transport of passengers by road vehicle is a boost to promoting cross-border tourism, investment, trade, and cultural exchanges between ASEAN member states. Then we have seen that about 80% of arrivals in Asia Pacific region, they are originating from the same region. So it is an intra-regional tourism which has been promoted in this particular area. Then there are establishment of tourism alliances. Hello, there are some disturbances going on, I suppose. Is it okay?
Yeah, we just managed that.
Now, in Southeast Asia and the ASEAN countries, there are already established tourism alliances. For example, between Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, between Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, between Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia, Laos, Thailand. These triangles are very important for promoting cross-border tourism because these are the countries which are contiguous with each other and they share the same borders. Cross-border tourism is an important vehicle. So cross-border tourism is an important vehicle in promoting the tourism industry in this particular region. Then we have this GMS framework, the Greater Mekong Sub-Region Framework, where the ADB is facilitating tourism development in this region, which comprises of China, Laos, PTR, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. We have seen now there is a increased cross-border tourism between China and Vietnam, and Thailand has become a hub of tourism in the region with improved infrastructure and services. Also, Thailand having collaborations with Malaysia and Indonesia in terms of tourism promotion. This region will see a lot of cross-border tourism activities in near future. We have already talked about that about 80% of the travelers in Asia Pacific region, they originate from the same region. Only 20% they come from Europe and other countries. So, the Asian markets, for example, the Chinese market and the South Korea, India, Japan, Taiwan, Malaysia, these are very important source markets for Asia Pacific region. And we have seen the forecast by MasterCard report, which is published in 2017, that by 2021, China will be the biggest or the largest outbound tourism market in the world with almost 100 million or 103 million tourists, followed by South Korea and India. So this is a huge potential for cross-border tourism in the region. Now, what are the key imperatives for facilitating cross-border tourism? We need to establish cross-border cooperation, marketing networks, and professional organization structures. The countries need to develop or create joint tourism promotion councils or the working groups to facilitate cross-border tourism. They need to have similar policies and programs. They need to create funding sources for promoting or developing a joint marketing strategy. And this joint marketing strategy will take care of the promotion of a single destination, in the sense that the whole region will be promoted as a single tourism destination rather than fragmented clusters. So likewise, destinations need to create new products and experiences. Now, tourists will be more interested in visiting destinations which will be closer to the borders. So destinations need to be promoted which are in proximity to the border areas. For that, we require improved road connectivity and access. We require a seamless rail connectivity. For example, like Euro Rail Pass, we need to create an Asian rail pass which will facilitate tourists to travel across the region. Availability of low-cost areas will boost to cross-border tourism of easy accessibility and affordability. And we need to go for simplification of visa and immigration. For example, we need to get a visa or ASEAN single visa to facilitate cross-border tourism. Then there are a host of other essential elements which are required for promoting cross-border tourism.